close to.
Live, you're watching the Weather Channel, Evening Edition.
People in Louisiana heading inland encountered a lot of traffic on Interstate 10. This was the scene earlier today as those ordered to evacuate tried to make the move out of Lili's projected path.
And this is a look at the projected path for Lili. The Category 4 hurricane will hit with winds around 145 miles per hour Thursday morning.
Hello and welcome to the Weather Channel Evening Edition, West Coast. I'm Keith Westerledge in for Sandra Diaz.
And I'm Dave Schwartz. Thanks for joining us. Well, we here at the Weather Channel have been in alert mode all day long due to the danger, the extreme danger that Lili poses to the Gulf Coast. Lili is a concentrated and powerful hurricane, and it'll make landfall about midday on Thursday. Here's the latest information on Lili and the location. 145 mile per hour maximum sustained winds. It has undergone explosive intensification today. It probably won't strengthen too much more. Some light fluctuations are possible. And it continues that trek toward the north-northwest, right toward the coast of Louisiana. 145-mile maximum sustained winds. People in Lake Charles, Louisiana began boarding up their windows Wednesday. Plywood was in demand as everyone took precautions against the powerful winds that are expected from the hurricane. People in coastal Louisiana also spent a lot of Wednesday packing up. They had to fill up the cars and hit the highways. Several communities in Louisiana were under mandatory evacuations. People in coastal Texas also spent Wednesday getting ready for Lili. Texas does not have mandatory evacuations, but people have left Galveston Island, and many people have boarded up their homes and started moving inland. The biggest danger from Lili will be the powerful winds and the surf and the storm surge. Here's a look at the radar and the unmistakable swirl, that counterclockwise swirl around the eye of the hurricane, which is just out of this radar. But we'll expand out here in a second. Just want to show you it's been raining like the dickens here, south side of New Orleans. Now it's raining downtown and in Vieux Carré in the French Quarter, and we're seeing some of that spiral toward the west. It'll all be moving from east to west. And this is only the beginning, my friend. Winds gusting to 30 miles an hour in New Orleans, about 40 miles an hour here, right along near the mouth of the Mississippi River. And there is the eye of the hurricane, just above the Z in Schwartz, if you saw that. There's the eye. And right around the eye, that's where the intense winds, 145 mile per hour sustained winds. This is going to make Isidore look like a walk in the park in terms of the wind. Once again, the strongest winds are offshore, and since the hurricane's moving this way, this is your wind field, the strong winds will also move this way. So we're about a couple hours away from tropical storm force winds in New Orleans, for example, and then later on tonight, and especially tomorrow morning, conditions will go from bad to worse. So make your last-minute preparations in here. I'll tell you, considering all the rain that we picked up from Tropical Storm Isidore last week, the ground may be so wet and soggy that some trees that either have a shallow root system or that are ready to go that didn't fall last week just may fall with this one. Not because of the rain here, but the wind. So perhaps we were set up last week, and tomorrow, later on tonight and tomorrow, not only here in Louisiana but further north, trees will come down on power lines and homes. So be prepared. Move downstairs if you feel safer. Sleep on the couch. Sleep in the basement. And keep a battery-operated everything next to the bed. Flashlight, radio, weather radio if you have that. This is serious. This is a Category 4 hurricane. And the storm surge, that's the sea level rising. See that color right in there? That purple color? That's 12 to 16 feet. Sea level will rise 12 to 16 feet. And many cities here in southern Louisiana are 6, 8, 10 feet above sea level. That's it. So whole cities in southern Louisiana, not New Orleans, but south of New Orleans, will be underwater tomorrow. Once again, this is not only a hurricane for those of us near the coast, but inland as well. Alexandria to Lafayette and westward, a hurricane warning in effect. Central Louisiana, tropical storm warning across the Sabine River. And a tornado watch is in effect. That's typical with the onslaught of a hurricane. Meanwhile, last week we received all this rain, Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. Potential for more flooding, obviously, with more heavy rain. That's Hurricane Lili. Don't take this one lightly. Keith?
Well, Dave, you're talking about the summer kind of weather. Here in the western states, we have winter to be sure. It has been a cold day thanks to this upper level system spinning here in the southwest. Las Vegas today, a high of only 59. Your average low is 62. But there is some nice weather out there along the coastal areas. Meanwhile, we still have snow and some rain, cold temperatures. Some of that snow today as much as 2 feet up in parts of Wyoming, so some heavy snow to be sure. Here's the radar. You can see the precipitation. The white, that's where we have the snow. The green, that's where the rain is falling. And where we saw the rain and clouds in Colorado today, it was a cold day out there for the youngsters. You can see a little bit of snow there, Jefferson County, at least on the vehicle. And the kids didn't expect it to be as cold this morning as it was, but indeed it was very, very chilly, especially for a fall morning. Jefferson County is just southwest of Denver. The unseasonably cold weather will continue right now out there in Denver. It's 38 degrees, Lander 31. Had many record low high temperatures this morning. A record low temperature in Williston down to 14 degrees. So some cold, cold stuff. What about that forecast? Well, the forecast does call for some improving weather, if you like, sunshine and less wind in Phoenix. But look at this, still the chance for some moisture coming into the northwest as well. Still unsettled as that upper level system slowly moves on toward the east. We'll see some snow, and there are some winter storm warnings in effect for parts of Colorado. Though in Denver, we'll see a kind of a cloudy day, high temperatures in the 50s, chilly to be sure. Lovely, though, as we head down toward Phoenix, 84 degrees Los Angeles, highs in the 70s, lots of sunshine as we head up through San Francisco. A little partly cloudy with some wind and mild temperatures. In the northwest, we have those clouds continuing, light scattered showers throughout the Seattle area. Cold here, hot here in the middle. We have a cold front with that showers and thunderstorms. No watches out, but we have seen some heavy rain there in parts of western Oklahoma and into Kansas, and that's going to continue as the boundary just slowly settles down to the south and the east. Here's that cold front, very, very mild and warm, we would say, ahead of it with high temperatures well above what we would expect for this time of year. Dave? Actually, we won't go to Dave. I'll show you this. Let me show you the latest look at the record frame here as we head into the northeast. Philadelphia, 87 degrees. Look at us down to Atlantic City and even down into Caribou, a high temperature.
We continue to track Hurricane Lili as the powerful and intense hurricane plows toward the Gulf Coast. With the very latest on the projected path, let's turn it over to our senior meteorologist, Stu Ostro. Stu?
Dave, a bit of good news at the moment, which is that the rapid intensification that the hurricane underwent earlier today has stopped, or early yesterday has stopped. However, even if it weakens a little bit before landfall, even if it were to come in as a Category 3 instead of a Category 4, it would still be a very formidable and dangerous hurricane. Let's take a look at some of the latest information. I wanted to point out this 942 millibars here. Generally, the lower the pressure in the middle of the hurricane, the stronger it is. This bottomed out at about 938 earlier, and actually the reconnaissance plane has found that it's up to 948 more recently. However, they weren't sure they found the exact center of circulation. Nonetheless, between that and between what we saw in satellite photos over the last few hours, it does appear to have peaked in intensity. As far as where it's going, we can see pretty clearly here on this radar loop as we put it into motion the center of circulation moving on to the northwest or north-northwest. And so we do expect it to make landfall on the south central Louisiana coast, either in Vermilion Bay or just to the east, a little bit either side of it perhaps, as we go through the first few hours of daylight in the morning. It looks like it's about, say, 8 to 10 hours away from getting very close to the coast. Another thing I want to point out on the radar is that the eye wall, which is this little ring right in here around the center of circulation, is where the strongest winds are. It's a relatively tiny circulation in terms of the most intense winds. A lot of these rain bands out here do have winds starting to pick up, but not as strong as right around the eye. And so where that eye wall comes on shore will be critical in terms of determining the impact. Also wanted to zoom in on the radar a little closer to New Orleans. Here's New Orleans in here. We see a pretty heavy outer band right in here coming north and northwest toward the city. One thing we're concerned about with that is that there will be some these individual cells in here that will have the potential of producing tornadoes. Certainly most places won't get it, but there could be one or two involved. Also wanted to mention the storm surge. Even if the hurricane weakens a little bit, this stretch of the Louisiana coast here, as compared to others along the United States coast, has a relatively high surge potential. That's why we expect some place in here to get in excess of 12 feet, perhaps as much as 20 feet, although if it weakens a little bit, it might not be quite as high, but still significant impact, Dave.
Wind and water. Senior meteorologist Stu Ostro, thank you. There's another tropical system out there. It's Tropical Storm Lyle, and that's almost a hurricane. Fortunately, it's stationary off the East Coast and forecast to remain there. We'll be right back with more on your current conditions. We'll update you on rain and some snow in the west.
And we'll also talk about the cooler temperatures heading into the Midwest and the Northeast, so stay tuned.
These are my kids. They're at that age where their tastes change constantly. They're all such individuals. But with Campbell's tomato soup, I can make a lunch that keeps up with them. I add what each one loves. Salsa, sour cream, or shredded cheese. As different as they are, they do like the same thing for lunch. They just want to have it their own way.
Customize your soup with Campbell's, also in ready to serve.
There's a lot of people out there with a lot of need. Walmart gives us the opportunity to help more people than we'd ever be able to help on our own. They're our friends and our neighbors. Every Walmart down the street and across the country is helping their communities through the Good Works program. With education, the environment, the children always have a special place in my heart. Their eyes tell their whole story, and their faces and their smiles. You just get emotional. I think it brings a tear to your eye to see the difference that you can make. The giving part is what makes you happy.
Okay. Small business software, $500.
Coming up.
Small business seminar, $300. Small business supplies, $90. Leaving work early to use your reward points, priceless. Now small business owners can earn reward points to use more places than ever before. Call 866-444-BONUS for details. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
Why has the Dirt Devil Vision been the best-selling bagless upright over the last 5 years? It's powerful and easier to push and turn. But if you're looking for the ultimate bagless vacuum, check out the Platinum.
You're watching the Weather Channel. Live by it.
The big hurricane with a little name is racing toward Louisiana. Hurricane Lili is packing a big punch with 145-mile-per-hour winds. That makes it a Category 4 hurricane. This is a very, very dangerous storm. Details on the way.
This was the scene earlier today as thousands of residents in Louisiana moved inland. Some were under mandatory evacuations. Others just wanted to get out of Lili's path. Good morning and welcome to Weather Center. I'm Sandra Diaz along with Paul Emick.
Thanks so much for joining us. Your Thursday forecast and a whole lot more coming up in just a very few moments. But first, we begin with Hurricane Lili. Still a very, very potent storm, incredibly powerful. Again, parts of coastal Louisiana have been evacuated. We'll take a look
we've
now.
had of the fact that Hurricane Lili is now just hours away from making landfall in south central Louisiana, the first hurricane to hit the U.S. in 3 years. With Hurricane Lili bearing down on the Gulf Coast, a mass evacuation is underway. From Texas to Mississippi, bumper-to-bumper traffic, as hundreds of thousands of people flock to higher ground with only their prized possessions.
That's it. Nothing else will fit.
Helicopters have been ferrying oil workers off hundreds of rigs in the Gulf of Mexico, while shrimp boats and barges have headed for safer waters inland. Despite evacuation orders, many residents of south central Louisiana, Lili's apparent target, have opted to board up their homes and ride out the storm, although these hurricane veterans don't sound as brazen as their signs would suggest.
We're a little bit more concerned this time for the tidal wave. You know, they're talking about a 20-foot surge, but we should be okay.
Now a dangerous Category 4 hurricane, forecasters say Lili's winds could reach 155 miles per hour. Her storm surge could top 20 feet, a potential disaster for the Louisiana wetlands, just a few feet above sea level.
This will indeed, if it hits a populated area, cause extensive damage from the wind and the storm surge.
So for the second time in less than a week, Louisiana residents are bracing for a hurricane. Although Isidore died down to a tropical storm before making landfall, Lili is strengthening, picking up speed as she races toward shore. Reporting live from Lafayette, Louisiana, I'm Jeff Morrell, ABC News. Now back to you.
All right, thanks for that report. Storm surge through parts of Louisiana around the coast expected to be up to 16 feet. Remember, this is a Category 4 hurricane that makes it extremely dangerous, to say the least.
That's right, Paul. Let's take a look at the latest coordinates for Hurricane Lili. Right now, you'll find Hurricane Lili around 160 miles south-southeast of Louisiana, and winds are right now at 145 miles per hour, moving rapidly now to the north-northwest at 18 miles per hour. Here's the projected path. You can find that Hurricane Lili will make its landfall sometime during the late morning hours now on Thursday and then push its way inland. And our biggest impact here that we are expecting to see will be the winds, the waves, as well as the surge. But keep in mind, some isolated local places could receive a good amount of rain, and there could also be some flooding in these areas.
All right, let's head now to New Orleans, where we can talk about the situation there. Joining us on the phone right now is Carolyn Wilcox. She's the Assistant Director of Emergency Management for Jefferson Parish. Ms. Wilcox, thanks for joining us. Right now, what would you say is the biggest concern right now for your parish?
Well, we're worried about the tidal surge, but right now our biggest concern is probability of tornadoes in the lower part of our parish, which is called Lafitte, in the Barataria section of Bayou Barataria. We're just seeing some reports coming in that there's possible tornadic action, so we're watching this very closely.
That's right. A new tornado warning just handed to me, too, for central Jefferson Parish in southwestern Louisiana. A very stormy time, obviously. I can't really understate that at all. Really a very rough time. You do have one shelter set up if people are, for some reason, out and need to find one. Where is that set up right now?
That is set up at what is called the Whirling Middle School. It's on the West Bank Expressway in the western part of Jefferson Parish on the West Bank, and it is for those very citizens that area that right now that we're worried about the tornado action, or for anyone in the West Bank who wanted to move if they didn't feel their homes were safe.
All right, thank you. That was fantastic information. Thanks for passing that along. Very busy time, obviously, there. That's Carolyn Wilcox, the Assistant Director of Emergency Management for Jefferson Parish. And again, repeating, just as we were speaking, tornado warning for central Jefferson Parish in southeast Louisiana was issued. You should be seeking shelter there, obviously, for a number of reasons. Right now, we'll take a look at what's happening elsewhere across the U.S. With that information, here's Sandra Diaz.
Well, as we take a look at the bigger picture here, we find that we still have a front to deal with besides Lili. This front is bringing in some much cooler air behind it, and we'll continue to see some snow across the Rockies as a result. Going through the morning into the midday, you'll find that some of these showers will continue to push a little further towards the south and to the east. Keep in mind, south of this front, we're looking at some very warm conditions, and behind the front, much colder. Now, as Paul mentioned, there is a threat for severe weather as we head through the morning hours. Tornado watch is in effect here through Louisiana and the lower areas of Mississippi till 10 o'clock local time. Also, the possibility of some localized very heavy showers with 4 inches or plus here across the lower Mississippi. We'll be right here keeping you updated. Stay with us.
Would you do this to a leather sofa? Of course not. But we can fix it like new. Introducing Liquid Leather. It'll make that ruined sofa, this damaged briefcase, this torn leather jacket, all like new again. A high-tech urethane compound combines with perfectly blended colors to fill in even the deepest gash. Cover it with this special grain paper and let it dry. The damage is repaired. You get all the colors you need to repair chairs and sofas, car seats and dashboards, and much, much more. Just apply and let dry. Liquid Leather can save you hundreds, but through Home Shopping Showcase, it's only $19.95. Use your credit card and you'll also get this fabric mender kit free. It mends rips and tears in fabric and velour. Supplies are limited, so call now.
Call 1-800-639-6226 or send $19.95 plus shipping to the address on your screen. For faster delivery, call 1-800-639-6226.
Your pet's same exact heartworm and flea medications delivered to your home, saving you time and money.
It costs less than buying from my veterinarian.
It only takes a phone call.
I saved a visit to my vet's office. I didn't have to leave home.
Pet Meds delivers my pet's medication right to my door.
It's cheaper and more convenient than buying from my vet.
I save time and money.
1-800-PET-MEDS. We deliver savings and convenience on HeartGuard, Advantage, Frontline, and all other pet medication.
You're watching the Weather Channel. Live by it.
Hurricane Lili is racing toward the Louisiana coast with 145-mile-per-hour sustained winds. That means it is indeed a Category 4 hurricane. This is a very dangerous storm. The winds, storm surge, and high waves are now the biggest threat. Details on this on the way.
Good morning and welcome to Weather Center. I'm Sandra Diaz along with Paul Emick.
Thanks so much for joining us. Your Thursday forecast and more is coming up in just a few moments. But first, we begin with the latest on Hurricane Lili. Now remember, this is an incredibly dangerous storm with powerful winds and very high storm surge. Take a look at the latest information right now. 140 miles south-southeast of New Iberia, Louisiana. Winds sustained at 145, moving on the north-northwest around 18 miles an hour. A very potent storm. Honestly, cannot understate the need for preparedness and seeking shelter right now. Again, it's continuing to move in. It should move ashore mid-morning or so along the Louisiana